All right, we are live. Seth, how are you? Tell me, let's test your mic for a second. Let's see that we hear it. I can hear you. Yeah, can you hear me? We hear each other. The internet. All right. There is Father's Day in Israel. I don't know if it's at the same time that it is in the U.S. Actually, I, I okay. I'm just looking it up just to make sure here. Yeah, I think it's kind of an international day. Okay. Anyway, let's make it international. Oh no. Okay, Facebook, YouTube. I see Benny Patterson, David, Marek, Patricia, uh, Zornitza, all the people on Facebook. Tell us if you. Yeah, we. No, Seth was muted, Linda says. Can you hear us now? Seth, speak a little bit. Oh no. We don't like this. We don't like this. I can hear you. I can hear you. Um, we can hear you. No sound for Seth. That's weird. Let me look into this. Let me look into this. Okay. Huh. Try now. Speak.
Hello, 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 hello. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Facebook, YouTube. Tell us if you can hear Seth. I think they can hear you now. I think this is actually
Okay.
my bad. Was my
Okay.
bad. I think I
All right.
messed up the settings here. Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone can hear you now. Okay,
Okay. So,
yes, they can
so
hear you. Great. Okay, sorry
okay,
for
good.
that. So
So
you see,
we are
sometimes, sometimes you have to kind of
all
lose,
right. Hi,
lose the
everybody.
connection.
Okay, good. So we're back. Thank you, Creator, for making us. Oh, sorry for saying the C word. Thank you to. We are
The
here with
master plan.
the master plan. We are here. It is Father's Day. I ventured out of the house. I was telling Asaf that my dad's in his 70s, and my siblings and my kids were all here. Everyone's here, but we're not allowed to hug him. But we are allowed to be socially distanced together. I have when we get close, we put on the mask. But in the meantime,
But
we're out
so
here
so
for
you're meeting your father like with a mask and all that and keeping social distancing and all that.
yeah, yeah. He's
I
really strict about it. I think he's
no,
75
he's
now.
he's right. I mean, it's just, he's
He
in the age group that is
he yeah he
risk.
fully thinks that a vaccine is on its way and that we're all going to get back to I mean,
Uh
I think
huh.
he thinks fine. I think he actually he asked me this weekend about unity. He said maybe people just need to start getting along with each other. And um but yeah,
That's
there's
nice.
so we
That's
had
progress. Yeah.
yeah, that's slow. um there have been a lot of Democrats in the street protesting recently, and last night the president held a rally. So there was Republicans um, getting together recently. What's kind of interesting is, a month ago, a person wasn't allowed to go to their grandma's funeral, and then, or 3 weeks ago, a person wasn't allowed to go to their grandma's funeral, and
Yeah.
then a few days later, thousands and thousands of people are able to gather outside in the streets or inside in an auditorium. It's no wonder that people are confused. And Asaf, if social distancing was the number one way to stop this from spreading, well, we may see a second wave now, if everybody is,
I think
you know,
we're seeing it.
are we?
I think we're totally seeing
I'm
it.
confused.
I think we're seeing it. First of all, I mean, okay, let me just let's look at some of the things that are happening. There is a second wave. I think it's actually pretty official. You can you see this? Yeah, I think you can see this.
I see it.
Okay, so World Health Organization. Doesn't matter what you think of them, love them or hate them, whatever conspiracy theory you believe. For us as Kabbalists, it doesn't really matter that much. There is a global pandemic that's happening one way or another. It doesn't matter where it came from. And at the moment, they're recording 150,000 new cases. That happened on Thursday, and that's actually a record high. There was never that many cases in a single day. Now, he's actually saying that it's interesting to look at this quote. Look, he says, the world is in a new and dangerous phase. Many people are understandably fed up with being at home. Countries are understandably eager to open up their societies and economies, but the virus is still spreading fast. It is still deadly, and most people are still susceptible. Now, that's kind of interesting. That's kind of it tells you something about the situation that we're in. The confusion is that we don't know what to do if this thing keeps coming back. And it is coming back. There is a second wave now. Many countries are now debating what to do about it. There's something really cool I read. This one's in Hebrew. I'm just gonna tell you what it was. So there was the guy who was like the director of the public health ministry here in Israel. I'm not sure what's the correct position is, but it's like the top position, right, when it comes to taking care of the health of the country and the lockdown measures and all that. So he resigned after the first wave because he couldn't take all there was a lot of political conflicts and all that. So he resigned, and look at what he says. I didn't touch this. This is his words. We learned a lot about the corona, but we still don't know anything about it. Human nature has a hard time agreeing with our inability to understand this virus. That, I think, is very, very telling.
Wow, it's almost an intro for our guest today. There's so much psychologically going on here. It's like, I don't want to stay at home anymore. People are saying, like, I don't care what's going on. I'm done with being home. I'm done with this,
Yeah.
and I really don't care. Now the countries, everybody
and
just.
and at the level of the government, it's like, I want to open the economy. I'm just like, everything is going rock bottom. What can we do? Like, everyone's trying to tackle the virus with our rational, linear, egoistic mind. We're not trying to read a deeper message. We're not trying to understand what is this program of nature sent at us and trying to do something. We're just trying to fight it. Okay, let's fix it. We have a problem. Let's fix it and move on, kind of thing. And it's not going to work.
David Mancini, who I keep mentioning here, he's one of our Kabi students who's been to all of our shows, I think. He wrote a message to me this week or last week, something about all of the deaths from cigarettes every year. And it's way, I mean, at this point, it's beyond COVID, right? And it's been like that for probably decades. So the virus, it's kind of like if you have kids and you don't want to punish them, you kind of see how they're cute and you kind of see how they're learning, and you understand, you can relate to what they're doing, and they're not trying to be malicious. You don't want to punish them. So you're trying to teach them and guide them, and someone from the outside is being like, you're spoiling your kid, or shouldn't you, or the sibling is saying, but you don't want to punish them because they're getting it, but they got some stumbling blocks, and
Yeah,
it's like, that's how
you,
nature is dealing with us with this
yeah.
virus now. It's like it doesn't want, like, there can be worse waves of the virus, there can be volcanoes, there can be starvation, there can be all of these things. It's like giving, so what I don't, for sure, the politicians and the leaders don't understand yet, is that the virus isn't coming to just kill us, and then if we stop it from killing us, we win. The virus is cleaning up a huge mess that we're making. The virus is saying, hold on, okay, let's try, like when you have kids, and instead of just punishing us so hard, it's like, let's see if we can get this right. You humans are spending, 40% of you are spending your time involved in things, that in businesses, engagements that don't, that just end up making stuff that ends up in a landfill or ends up in the ocean, or you're in some, middleman
Mm-hmm.
business that doesn't provide
Mm-hmm.
any value. You're just sucking some profit out from some other transaction that's taking place, and the virus is cleaning that. And if we could see what it's doing and understand how nature is relating to us, it's totally different approach than.
It's very creative, I would say. It's a very creative act on part of nature to what's the word I'm looking for, to kind of put limits on human behavior and human activity, and help us figure out what is a change of attitude that we need to human life and human society on this planet. And we need to become more sensitive to that, as opposed to trying to fight it off and go back to what we used to do.
Yeah, the virus is here to stay in one way or another. This virus, the next virus, it's here to stay, and we're not going to be able to fly around whenever we want on cheap flights everywhere. Like in this, I mean, people will still be able to go places. That's not what I mean, but just this constant everybody coming and going and just creating messes and just throwing. I went to work. I'm back to work a few days a week now at the office, and I saw somebody. No, they weren't actually drinking. They had a bottle of water and they were pouring it
Yeah,
on their hands out of the car, the person in the
yeah.
passenger seat, and then just dropped the bottle outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought, like, how what does that person think? How does a person not, that's it was a great example. We don't understand how anything we're doing is connected and has consequences. So we're entering now a time where everything is going to be more modest. Humanity is going to be able to calm itself down a little bit more. It's going to be a more inner time. While everyone's running around, we don't have time for that. And once that happens, we'll be able to explain what's going on. As long as everybody thinks that next month the cure is coming, or they're going to create a vaccine and then we're going to get back, so then no one has any patience to listen to what's going on. But
I think that a couple more items here. Okay, just two more headlines that grabbed my attention. Take a look at this one. So wait, I'll make sure that you can see it as well. Okay, so scientists, earth scientists, climatologists, those who are like, at least they're involved in things like the balance of the ecosystem and things like that, they are starting to sort of, be more attentive, you can say. They're saying that these pandemics, they have to do with how we treat nature. There was another one here. Coronavirus is a warning to us to mend our broken relationship with nature. I mean, that's almost something we would write, right? I mean, the content would be deeper and not just about how we are, cleaning, polluting the oceans and depleting the resources. It'd be about changing our inner attitude to this program of nature that guides us. But something is a little bit happening. Bit by bit, there is some education on behalf of COVID going on. There is some attention that is being, that is being awakened towards what's happening, towards our relationship with the planet, our relationship with each other. And here's the thing. If you think about, if this thing is not going away, if this thing is actually not going away, then we're going to be forced to change what we do. You can only go so long without, continuing your regular life without infecting everyone. And the virus itself is also changing. This is also something that is a bit concerning, I have to say. I mean, we thought about it at first like a respiratory disease, something that for most people it will affect them like a flu. Only for some people it'll be more dangerous. Now it doesn't touch kids, more like adults. Now they're seeing that we don't understand anything about this virus. It's shape-shifting, it's mutating. It's not exactly a respiratory thing. It's more like a systemic thing. It drives the body. It unmasks all kinds of toxicities that already exist in the body from other things. Isn't that interesting, right? Like all of the toxic environment, that we live in, which has to do with even how we live and what we eat and whether we exercise or not, and what kind of relationships we have with other people that result in all kinds of stressors on our health. And so in some way they're finding that the coronavirus is unmasking all those things. And so some people, now, by the way, most of the U.S. reported cases are now, unfortunately, about kids. Kids are getting sick from this. So
So
we don't know
let me
anything
jump in for a sec.
about how it works. Yeah.
Let me jump in for a second because Zornitsa Kolarova, sorry if I'm not saying it correctly, on YouTube is asking a question. Now, I think what she's doing is she's listening to us, and we're just so cavalier. We're talking, oh, it's like this, and she says, well, what if the virus cleans out people that you love? Then would you be talking like that if it affected people that you love?
Well, absolutely. That's first of all, my just like your dad, you're in a situation where you can't properly be with your dad because you're afraid of him getting infected, and he's afraid. Same thing with my parents. A friend of ours lost his mother, a month ago, because of the coronavirus. It definitely does affect people, and that's a hard and tragic thing. I don't think maybe it came across from how we're talking about it that we're not putting a lot of importance to it, or something like that, or disregarding the effects. But the effects are certainly tragic. I think 500,000 people around the globe already died. Uh, I think it's related to what you said in the before, and we talked about it being like a creative kind of act on nature's behalf. The In comparison to, say, the Spanish flu, in comparison to past pandemics, in comparison to other regular routine phenomena like even air pollution, there is probably more death and more casualties and more harm than the coronavirus. But that's not to say that we shouldn't be very worried about these effects as well, and that we should try to keep ourselves safe. Absolutely.
So yeah,
We absolutely should. Yeah.
Cornitza, we're so from time to time on the show we do a deep dive into the heart and deal with those things. I think what Asaf and I are doing now is kind of flying above and trying to look at the bigger picture. So it's not to say, not to make little at all of the individual situations that people are in, but if we want to look at the big picture of what's happening, like you grow up, you raise a family, and at some point, your son gets a fever, or your daughter breaks her arm or something. And so, but in general, You want to move the whole family forward in a certain way. And I think that's what we want to do here. That is what we want to do on the show. That's what we want to do together with all of the people from all around the world. And Kornitsa, maybe you could tell us where you're from as well, so we can feel you more. Uh, we want to look at what is happening in the world through the lens of the wisdom of Kabbalah, which is something that we're not going to hear on the news. We're not going to hear it on regular TV or uh, anywhere else, really. We see that there are certain scientists and certain organizations that starting to pick up on this now, but we want to be ahead of the curve. We want to be ahead. We want to understand the process that nature is moving us through so that we can go through it together. We can go through it in a more comfortable way. And that's not to say that somebody we know might not get sick or something like that, but it is to say that this change in our attitude will protect us. When we create this field of love, and we're going to get more and more into it as these shows progress of how that works, but this will be the thing that will cure us from the virus. The virus will stay, but it won't affect us because we will have changed, and it won't have any business with us.
Um, I'll add to this. What we're giving here is is um, is a root kind of solution, a deeper level remedy, a true systemic kind of healing that is required. And even if we will have a vaccine for this kind of coronavirus, and hopefully we will, if we're not going to deal with the root level of what's happening in nature and our relationship with that vast system of nature that we're in, this is not going away. So we're talking about COVID in a very sober, like a bird's eye view kind of way, understanding that nature sends this virus, this program, in order to change our ways and our relationship with each other and with the whole planet. And if we start reading the message instead of just trying to fight the messenger, but actually trying to see what are the new limitations that are being imposed of us. Why is this happening? Is there a way that we can make some adjustments in our attitudes, in our behaviors, and ultimately in how the human infrastructure works on this planet, so that we can live a more healthy life?
We're basically going through like a childbirth when a baby is born. But if you didn't know that you were about to have a baby, you didn't know what was going on with your body, you would be terrified. And everybody around you would be terrified. First of all, your stomach would start getting big, and then um, suddenly you'd start to have pain, and then your body would start, your water would break, and then you start going through contractions, and something's kicking inside your stomach. If you didn't know what was going on, that would be probably a very scary situation. So what we're talking about now is a process of birth that humanity is going through, and we want to be able to look at all of the phenomena through that lens, and not through just being frightened by things that are all of a sudden coming out of nowhere and hitting us. There's nothing that's happening now in the world that is not happening uh, purposefully. It is not happening in order to help us. So we want to, through our connection here, we're going to read here, we have a global check.
Maybe Seth will keep the global check for when Guy comes on, our guest, sure, which will happen pretty soon. And until then, if you're watching from somewhere in the world and you haven't told us in the chat yet where you're from, this is the time. Please do that. Bright compiles this list, and then we can see the beauty of so many people with a desire for awakening and transformation and human connection are watching this show from all around the globe. So if you haven't wrote, if you haven't written where you're from, please do so in the chat. Um, yeah, where were we? I think there's one more thing maybe to bring up, Seth. The kind of transformation you talked about it, like labor pains, right? Like going through birth. It is birth is a very tragic thing. It's a very traumatic to the body, and dramatic and risky, dangerous, agitating, concerning, and yet it is the happiest, joyful, miraculous. It is the creation of life. We need to understand that what human society is now going through is nothing less than that. We're undergoing right now, with ushered into by COVID-19, first wave, second wave, third wave, whatever, however we'll need. Hopefully we won't need more. Hopefully we'll go in there very quickly. But we have to go through a birth canal into a new world and new life on this planet. And yes, this means that everything's gonna change. How we educate ourselves, our children, how we use media, how we treat each other in the family unit, how we treat each other between different views, political views, racial prejudice, how we organize our resources and distribute them across the planet, our economic systems. Everything is gonna change from the ground up, and this is a birth of a new world that's happening as we speak. Now, if you have no idea what's going on, and all you can see is there's a virus that is hurting people, killing people, then all you see is the tragedy. All you see is the pressure. All you see is the risk and the confusion. But if you have a vision of the birth and the new life that will be created as a result, then not only you can go through the process in the most intelligible, in the most knowledgeable, in the most safest way, because you know where it leads and you know where it's going and you're trying to go along with it rather than fight it, but you'd also even begin to see it from the director's seat, see the beauty of what is happening to us now. And from a Kabbalistic perspective, the more we do that, the more we rise in our consciousness about what's really happening, the less that program of nature will actually have to hurt us. Because nature is about balance. It's a system, it's a very intelligent, super smart system, way more smarter than us. We're part of it, not the other way around. We are bound by the laws of nature, and they are greater than us. The fact that we've learned how to utilize them and create a microwave that cooks our food, and air conditioner that adjusts our temperature in the room, doesn't mean that we went above nature. We are bound by its laws, and it is greater than us. And it is constantly working towards balance. And on the human level, we have to consciously participate in that. That's what it wants from us. Yeah.
Samuel Lim on YouTube asks a question. He says, "Can we say that he's from Arizona? Hey Samuel, is wondering if the combined egoism in the world, is the cause for the virus, and how can we feel love? How can we feel the connection to humanity with our stomach, with our skin, with our ears, with our eyes?" So Samuel, so yeah, the short answer to your question is yes. The little bit of a longer answer is, it's not that like if you're raising a child, it's not that he's just bad from birth, and no, it's a process of development. So we have some heart and some mind that we were born with, and some education that we were given, and we never learned what kind of system we operate in. We never learned what are these forces that are working on me. We learned I get up in the morning, I feel an emptiness inside that I need to be a basketball player, so I train for basketball. I feel an emptiness inside that I need to be a businessman, that I need to be a mother, or that I need to be something. And so we follow this, and that is all like all of the creatures. But it's nature is now, it is the time of our development to move to something beyond that, and that is beyond this egoism. It's using all of our powers for something bigger. So how do we then take this heart that we have and this mind that we have and attune it so that it can feel something that it naturally doesn't feel? And that is its connection. Because Samuel, if you felt connected to everyone, right? If you're a dad and you hear your baby crying at 3 o'clock in the morning, so you just get up and go take care of your baby because you feel connected, you feel that is your responsibility, you feel love. So if we all began to sense our connection to all of humanity, so we would all behave differently. And that is specifically the process that this is going through. So if we understand now that that's what nature's doing to us, if we understand now that we go out into life, Safi, let me know when you're ready to cut me off here, but I'm gonna jam on this. Um, we
Go
go out
ahead,
into
man.
life. Okay, we go out into life, and we go to fulfill our own desires, and that's it. And we don't realize, so a virus, all of our thoughts spread like viruses too. All of our behaviors are spreading like viruses too. So we go out into life, and I need to get my coffee, and then I need to get to work, and then I need to get my parking spot at the office, and then I need to get my lunch. And all the time I'm concerned about what I need, me. And not only that, every other person is exactly the same way. And even more than that, if you're nice to me, you're nice to me because you're thinking somewhere in your head, you're making a calculation. Well, if I'm nice to him, he's going to be nice to me. Or I'm good to him because, I'm going to be at his house for dinner Friday night and I want him to behave like this to me. And so we're always making all of these calculations like that. So we're passing this kind of thought virus to each other, this egotistic thought virus to each other. The shift. So if we understood now where nature's taking us through, if we understood now that this virus is not going to go away, if we understood now that if humanity doesn't get the picture, doesn't learn from nature, that we may see volcanoes, or we may see a tsunami somewhere, or we may see starvation, we may see all kind of phenomenon coming from nature. Well, on the one hand, we want to make sure that we can have something to eat and that we're safe and all those things. But on the other hand, we have to start putting 1% of our time, 5% of our time, 10% of our time, more and more into living into this new world together. Because
And the new world, this is something that maybe we should add here, Seth. The new world is wonderful. This is something
thank you for reminding
that's
everybody.
not necessarily is obvious to us. Humans are creatures of habit. We're so used to what we're used to. We are so used to working all day. We think that where we are now, even if we don't think that it's the best possible state, even if we delude ourselves and think that the state of the world and human society is excellent, and we ignore all of the depression, deprivation, inequality, and political conflict and violence and wars and focus on materialism and obesity, and the list goes on. Even if we ignore if we recognize all of that, and we understand things can be a whole lot better, it's very, very hard for us to change habits. And so here's the thing. That new world that we're looking at is not going to be a bad one. It's going to be a different one. One of the things that we're going to need to go through is a change of focus on what is the human being focused on. These days, there's no doubt that the within the last 100 years or so, we've grown so focused on materialism and material success and cyclical chase for status symbols and material acquisition that it has become our life's goal.
And we're all miserable.
Does it? That's the question. Does it really make us happy? Does it really make us happy? If that makes us happy, if that makes anyone happy, then why do we keep chasing? Why the person who has a million wants 10 and then 100 and then a billion and then 10 billion? Why does it not stop there? Why do they have to fight and wage wars between themselves, those 1% of the super powerful people? Why are they not just happy with what they have? What's going on here? Back to the Leo, our friend and fellow Kabbalah instructor who went here on the show. He cited a cool study that I like. I mentioned it to other people today as well. That primates. There was a study on primates that 15% of their time they work, meaning hunting for food or cleaning, whatever it is they need to do, and 85% of their time they have fun. They just have fun. They are in relaxation, in recreation. Why can't we have a world, if we are the crowning achievement of nature, if we are so evolved and so developed and we have such developed technology and medicine and what have you, then how come most people in the world today have to work, I don't know, at least 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, and then commute another 2 hours and work from dawn to dusk and barely see their kids and then fight with their spouse? Why? Why do we have to live that way?
So we have a second technical situation going on here. First, you couldn't hear me in the opening song, but we were going to have an incredible guest here who
he's not. Looks like he's not going to go on.
So he was going to speak to us about clinical studies he did.
He's a PhD in psychology with a background in economics, and he researches the effects of listening, unique kind of listening, empathic listening, on perspectives and human emotions. So we'll give you a teaser for when we will bring him on next time.
So for sure he'll have to come on. But what we see is that when a person feels loved and feels connected, then that person is willing to listen to others' opinions without feeling attacked or without feeling less than. When a person is in a situation where they are not nervous that they're going to be criticized, then that person is willing to not criticize. Something changes in their behavior, and it's all clinical. So we don't have to speak in some kind of wooey, spiritual way. I mean, he would tell us from his research. I was really looking forward to it, but we're having some technical issue with it. But so when we wake up in the new world and feel that people care about each other, let's get into questions, because we want to discover something here. Biruk from Ethiopia.
We can do what you wanted to do before, Seth. We can read the incredible list of people from so many places connected to us right now, connected together to this stream of higher view on what's happening in the world.
So let's do that, and let's think together when we call out, when we read your place where you're from. So let's think that we are all in a network together, and we are building together a different kind of life, which is like, for example, you're exhausted, but your little baby cries. So somehow there's another source of energy that allows you to go take care of that baby. So let's say the world is going through whatever it's going through, like the crying baby, but we're more like the adults now. All of us together are looking for the real solution. We're looking for something above what we see on the news, and all of these people together are in this with us. So Afghanistan, Nairobi, Kenya, Argentina, Turkey, there's somebody like you in front of their computer or with their phone going through this process together. We are discovering this together. Greece, Nigeria, Ukraine, South Africa, California, Angola, Philadelphia, Quebec, Miami, Chile, London, Denmark, St. Louis, Germany, Los Angeles, British Columbia, Israel, South Carolina, Ghana, France, Pittsburgh, Brazil, Russia, New
Mm.
York City, Guatemala, St. Louis, Florida, Ethiopia, Holland, Connecticut, North Carolina, Iowa, Mexico, Colorado, Northampton, Washington, Ohio, San Francisco, Toronto, Spain, Norway, Portugal, Arizona,
Mm.
and the Czech Republic. Unbelievable, everybody.
Delicious.
Unbelievable.
That is just.
CC is banging on the hearts now.
This is just delicious. It's
Okay.
incredible. It's incredible, you
So
guys.
let's
Whew. Warms the heart.
yeah, really. So Biruk is asking a serious question here from Ethiopia. We see things falling apart in one side where there's unemployment and economic problems, and we see
Mm-hmm.
the government is not responding so well. How can we see this as good while expecting huge amount of people to starve to death in
Mm-hmm.
Africa and Asia? And when did you expect humanity can get to this new world?
Hmm. Oh man. Okay, I'll say a few words. You complete me, Seth. I think. Hey,
You
Burek.
complete me, yes.
Burek, you're right. You're right, man. Unfortunately, we are falling behind on what's happening here. Uh, I can't sit here and tell you that, from the perspective of Kabbalah, everything we see is just going to be nice and dandy. It's all going to be just, flowery and rosy. It's not. There is a state of crisis in many areas in the world, some areas more than others. And it's not going to be a pretty sight in some places. However, what we do need to understand is that the change is inevitable. This is what we have to try to get into the system, out there into the world, into more and more minds and hearts to digest it. This is what the virus is trying to show us as well. We've entered a new stage of the program of nature. It's like a computer game that, for lack of a better metaphor right now, where you have to, you're stuck in the same level until you rise to stage two. You have to pass stage one. And this is not going to end until we are going to start thinking differently about how we take care of each other, how we create the systems that will take care of the well-being of all people, of all
It
people.
sounds ridiculous. It sounds
Sounds
utopian.
utopian,
It
sure.
sounds like we don't have any
Communistic,
idea. Yeah,
maybe.
it sounds like we don't have any idea what we're talking about, and nobody's going to listen to us. And that's 100% correct. Nobody's going to listen to us now. That's not true. Few people are going to listen to us now. The ones who have some kind of inner development, they're finding the wisdom of Kabbalah. Our work will be to make this as simple as possible and to explain it to the world. But we don't expect that everybody is going to come and listen until, unfortunately, there's suffering will allow people to begin to hear. Now, Mechanical Elves asks on YouTube, Mechanical Elves on YouTube says, reciprocal altruism is reciprocal altruism a valid form of the golden rule? So Mechanical Elves, yes, reciprocal altruism, that would be valid. That is what we're talking about. However, it's impossible. There's no such thing as altruism in this world at all, ever. Altruism exists. What did we learn? What did we talk about for the last few weeks? Blacks against whites and whites against blacks, and this religion versus that religion, and then did we talk last week that it's still illegal to be gay in 70 countries and you can get stoned? I think we talked on Thursday about it. I think you can be
Maybe. Can't
no, I
remember.
don't know. I wrote about it on Facebook. You can be stoned to death in certain countries for being gay. It's the differences, the separation is just going to increase between people. We'll find Democrats and Republicans in the United States just want to kill each other now. It is going to be impossible to get to a level of altruism on this level that we live on now. We need to rise, and that's another thing that this virus is giving us, is that, look, we are here with people, with friends in Angola, in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Guatemala, in Holland, in Arizona, in the Czech Republic. We need to create a network in our hearts above all of these problems. It still sounds far-fetched.
We need to better appreciate what we're doing right now. Here's the thing: the 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 whole planet, all these four levels of nature, still vegetative, animate, and the human level, they're all interconnected. Clearly, we are the dominant creatures on this planet. It's not a hidden from us that we are shaping all the other levels on this planet, right? We are changing the face of the planet with our architecture. We are deciding where to plant trees and where to relocate some flora to other parts of the world. We are domesticating animals. We rule the planet when it comes to the what we're seeing through our hand, what we're doing with our hands and legs. Now here's the thing: from a deeper perspective, this network of still vegetative, animate, and humans also exists on a spiritual level, from a deep level of the driving forces of nature. And in that network, and in humanity, in that network, these levels also exist. And so we, the people who are capable of hearing this message right now, by focusing our intentions, by working in our connections, by envisioning the future state, we are changing the entire network from within. We are turning the pyramid. We are rippling through all the levels of the pyramid, and then as a result, suddenly things change, and things happen in the world, and some people in certain positions may have other thoughts, and some conditions may change that will allow for a more pleasant, smoother kind of transformation for humanity. And that work that we're doing, everyone here right now internally making an effort to envision this new world and to connect with the others who do so as well, that is the kind of effect that we are generating on the system right now. We're just not
We're
used
also,
to seeing that as something
yeah, we're
pragmatic. Yeah.
raised like there's a heaven and there's a hell, or there's a good person or a bad person, and the whole spiritual work is constantly moving back and forth between different states, and it's constantly about making effort, one sesame seed after another sesame seed. It's many, many, many discernments, many um, back and forth in and out of these different states to move forward. It's not that we are, we achieve some good and now everything is perfect and we just hold on to it and we fly into heaven like that. We're always back and forth. So Patricia Rebarik asks on YouTube, religion, I'm not sure which religion, but she says religion teaches that 2/3 of the world will perish. Does the wisdom of Kabbalah have a different view? Okay, I don't know which religion. I think there's 3,000 religions. Um,
Kabbalah doesn't say that necessarily 2/3 of the world will have to perish. No.
Baal
It
Hasulam does.
it does. It may happen though. It may happen. There may
There
be
could be.
a third world war and even a fourth. Barasulam says.
Yes, yes. So,
But
um,
but does
but
it
it's in
have
our
to
hands.
happen? No, it doesn't have to
No.
happen.
Samuel Lima on YouTube asks, thanks for the wisdom. Christians say we should pray to the Lord that the Lord will take this away from us. What is your opinion? Should we wish for it to go away before the purge is done? Uh, okay, so we're not dealing with religion here. Everybody is free to have whatever religious beliefs that they want. What we're dealing with in the wisdom of Kabbalah is a system called nature, which is a bestowing force, and we, the creatures, are a receiving force. And what happens if you know your electricity, if you live in a home, or you ever seen what happens when the force is too much, or like in a light bulb, it causes a spark. We have to make so the earth is the minus and the heaven is the plus, and the distance is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and between that distance we need to be the modulator between those, and by that we create great light here. It means that if you were in a dark room and one person has a flashlight, a bright flashlight, you can see things you wouldn't be able to see before. Right now we exist in a perfect world. Biruk in Ethiopia, and everybody else who's asking, Ami who's asking from Afghanistan about what to do about these students, you're already connected to all these people. You may not feel it on your flesh. You may not see something with your eyes, but the light that's shining, that reality, that connected reality, is already here. I was thinking too many things at once, and I lost my place. Okay, but
I'll add on this. I'll add on this
please do.
quickly. Yeah, the to continue on what Seth said, if you live in a system of laws, and in Kabbalah we learn more and more about these laws of nature that are not seen through our five physical senses, that we innately don't perceive them. By the way, there are many laws of nature that we don't perceive from birth, just like but they still work on us to this day. You're going to have a very, very hard time trying to explain to yourself what electricity is. This unseen, incredible force that somehow you can use it for heating, for cooling, for powering an engine, for doing all kinds of things. But it's just part of the system, right? So there are laws that influence everything that is happening. And if these laws now created the conditions and the situation where this virus is taking place, what we need to do as Kabbalists is not just wish for this to go away, but rather we need to learn why it happens in the first place. And that's the difference. And what we need to change in order to be more in balance with the laws of nature that we see or don't see. So that's a very different approach.
We also have
than
friends
just
joining us from Sweden.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. We have Sweden. We have I think Bulgaria there that we didn't say in the beginning, and we have someone from Bulgaria. Hello, Bulgaria, and Sweden. Yeah. Okay.
Can you hear me, Asaf?
Yeah, I can't. Yeah. Do we have another question? I see something here. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mohammed from Algeria.
Yeah.
Mohammed from Algeria is asking, what can you say about the spiritual state of mankind before the virus appeared?
Okay, we did have a technical hiccup there, but I think everything's cool now. Let's ask Muhammad's questions again.
Sure. Mohammed from Algeria, from Muaran, Algeria, is asking, what can you say about the spiritual state of humankind before the virus appeared?
Okay, I'll say something while you're dealing with something there. The situation of mankind before the virus is not very, very different yet from after the virus. We were already in an interdependent system, connected to each other globally, but we weren't so aware of it. What happened with the virus, I would say the big thing that began to happen in terms of human awareness, in terms of human perception, is that we were faced directly, without anything in between, with our globality, with our integrality, we finally started seeing. It's like in those movies when everyone in the world is looking up and everyone is seeing this UFO spaceship that is hovering over planet Earth, but everyone can see it, doesn't matter wherever you are in the world. So for the first time in human history, we felt globally connected due to COVID. And that is by itself a very important ascent in human consciousness. But we need to go forward and deeper into it and understand now how to live and conduct ourselves as a globally integrated species. And hopefully that's where we'll go from here. Okay, do we have more questions? Seth, are you seeing something? Because we are... I don't hear you. Unmute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sam, I was having a little Wi-Fi situation over here, but Samuel Lima is asking on YouTube another question. He says, there's no altruism in the world. What do we call all the good people who do good in this world?
Because you said there's no altruism in the world. So what do you call the people who do good? You with us, Seth? You're a bit frozen there. I think you're still having Wi-Fi hiccups. Are you good now?
It seems like it's in and out a little bit. Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay. You wanted to start answering, Samuel?
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm afraid my Wi-Fi is going to break up.
Yeah, Seth just said a couple minutes ago something very harsh even, Seth. You were very hard. No altruism in the world, no love whatsoever, no good deeds, no one's doing anything good. Come on, man. Isn't that a little bit too extreme? That's what, is that what you said, Seth? Is that what you meant?
Well, I feel like I'm being misinterpreted by the fake news.
No, look, Samuel, to be real here, from a Kabbalistic perspective, we are looking at the engine that drives the human being. That's not to be taken lightly. It needs to be explained, and really, this is already like a fundamentals course in Kabbalah thing that needs to happen in order to fully understand it. But in a nutshell, we're looking at the driving force of the human being. And from that perspective, we're saying, even the good deeds that we're doing, there are good deeds in the world. Yes, some people can behave nicer than other people. Some people can be more violent than other people. Some people can do what is considered in a certain culture as good deeds, and some people in the same culture would do deeds that are considered bad deeds. By the way, it is very dependent on time, history, culture. It's very dependent. In one culture, something would be totally acceptable. In another culture, it'll be not unacceptable. So what do you call a good deed? It's very cultural dependent. But yes, in our world, in a certain culture, you can call someone's actions good. But if you look at the driving force of the human being, ultimately, doesn't matter who they are, where they're from, what culture they live in, where they were brought up, they work according to the same program. That's what we're looking at as Kabbalists. And that program is a desire to maximize pleasure at all times. It's like a little accountant that sits in the back of our minds and constantly dictating all our choices, decisions, thoughts, and behaviors, and even our feelings. We're constantly comparing between alternatives to find the most cost-effective thing to do. And in some situations, it may be what's considered in a culture a great deed, a good deed, a positive deed. Altruism spiritually, that's what Seth was talking about, is when we rise above that program. It's a new perception of reality. Go ahead.
It's as if, so all of that accountant is back there and he's saying, can I put something in my mouth? Can I touch something? Can I see something? Can I hold something? Can I taste something? He's always calculating with what he has, how he can get. when we rise to spirituality, we can feel then something. So we're not able to make the correct calculation. That's why we say there's no true love in this world, because there's always a calculation based on what's in it for me. But when we're calculating on something much bigger, the pleasures are much bigger. And anyway, we're right at the end of our time here. We can get back into this more. Let's Asaf, do you hear me, or did I freeze you?
Yeah, no, you were a little stuttery, but
Asaf, can you hear me, or did I freeze you?
No, you're good. I can hear you. You were a little stuttery, but you're good.
Let's get one last question from South Africa. So Reynard from South Africa is saying,
yes, one last question.
What is now expected of us? What action can we perform in order to induce a change for the good?
All right, we're out of time. Let's do a quick answer, each of us, to wrap this one up. First of all, hey Reiner, thank you for the question. I would say it's two things. One of them is what we're doing exactly right now, surrounding ourselves with an environment of people who have a desire to rise to that future connected state, to go there, to move into the new world, to be born anew and reshape human life on this planet. Just the desire for that is moving the system. Why? Because all human beings are connected. Just like, millions of ants in an anthill, the 8 billion people on planet Earth are connected in invisible threads called desires and intentions and thoughts and feelings. And when we awaken that desire and focus on it and strengthen it, we're moving the whole system there without nature having to put more pressure on it. The second thing we can do is spread this message. Seth, you want to just unmute yourself?
If you got up in the morning and all of your friends came over, and you got a big friend, a strong friend, and a good-looking friend, and a smart friend, and all these different kind of, then you all went out into town together, and you're sitting there and you're telling stories and you're being together, you feel confident, you feel connected. That's our first step there. So Renard, you're here with people from every continent except Antarctica. We went through from Europe, from Africa, from Asia, from South America, from North America. Actually, I don't think we have Australia either. The virus is calling us to look at each other not from our eyes, but to feel each other with our hearts. Let's live together. Let's build this new, like we're building a castle in heaven together with our hearts. We're all investing. We're all working together to build this. We'll call it a temple in the sky or something like that. This is where we all exist together, and this is our first action together.
And we got a great song for you guys that will help you lift yourself together with everyone here into that beautiful place. We haven't played it on the show here before, so it's a first. So let's watch it. Let's listen to it together, enjoy that, and create that connected state between us. And before we do that, let's just remind everyone that we will be here next time on Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Thursday, right here on the Kabbalah channel, YouTube or Facebook. 2 p.m. Eastern, Thursday. We'll see you there. And
great to be together with
I don't believe in myself, but I believe in you. I'm falling into myself, but I want to draw to you. 'Cause when we can stay together above our frozen hearts, I believe the light will come and we won't stay apart. Seems like I lost my wings, but you made me fly. And if I stop breathing, with you I'll stay alive. 'Cause when we can stand together above will come and make things right. We are the parts of the one-man body. We are the soldiers of the light. We're gonna break these walls together and let the love free our minds. We're gonna burn like fire, fire in the one desire. Love is stronger than the dark side of life. Higher, higher with the one desire. 'Cause in the end there's nothing else besides light, light and love, love and light, light. In the end there's nothing else besides light, light and love, love and light, light. 'Cause in the end there's nothing else besides light. No matter what will come in our winding path, you are not alone, I'll always watch your back. So let's just stand together, I'll hold you in my arms, and suddenly the light will come and heal the heart. We are the part of the one-man army. We are the soldiers of the light. We're gonna break these walls around us and let the hope fulfill our lives. We are the part of the one-man army. We use the guns with loads of tears. We're gonna break these shells around us and let the light come out. We're here. We're gonna burn like fire, fire in the one desire. Love is stronger than the dark side of life. Higher, higher with the one desire. 'Cause in the end there's nothing else. We're gonna burn like fire, fire in the one desire. Love is stronger than the dark side of life. Higher, higher with the one desire. 'Cause in the end there's nothing else besides light.